Hot Nerd family. It's a time again for another exciting recap of Power Book 4 Force. I'm your host, Hot Nerd D, and today we have the fabulous Hot Nerd Ray joining us again. So say hi to Ray, everyone.
Hello, hot nerds.
Period. Yes. So before we get started, though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But now let's get to it. We're going to start off with our episode recap. So, to start, this episode starts off with Tommy and Maria together again, even though they know they shouldn't be. This time, though, her brother surprises him. Surprises them at her house, at his house, while she's still there. So I wonder if he did pick up a little something that she might have been there, but we will see. But even if he didn't, Jannar definitely did, as we saw towards the end of the episode, when he pulled up to Tommy in a way to try to kill him. So he got, I guess, more than what he bargained for. He got a little bit of leverage now that he can use later on. So we'll see how that ends up. So Tommy suggests to Miguel to reach out to his boss so that they can eliminate the Serbs' connection to their supply as a solution and revenge from last episode, burning down the Crimson Projects. Diamond is able to maintain his parole requirements. Well, as far as his parole officer knows, Shanti found out through Raheem, her day one, that she's getting talked about behind her back, and with them suggesting Jannard is bad for business and that she's too distracted to realize. She ends up choking him to kind of put him back in his place, to remind him that she is not to be disrespected, and just like kind of how like that was like a sneak attack, she definitely reiterated that this is exactly how she plans to kind of unleash her plan to kind of take over later on. So we'll definitely see how that also plays out. um then, we do find that she is meeting with Claudia too, and then now we do see that they are in a partnership now, 50-50, where Shanti's supplying the distro and Claudia's supplying the product. So interesting now to see that they actually did kind of team up and now are working together. Tommy and Diamond gather the coalition together to discuss further plans of expansion. Vic was listening in on the meeting, and they weren't aware then that he was an informant. But towards the end of the episode, you definitely could see how Tommy got suspicious, and even catches him talking to the cop. Um, we see Vic is challenged in that moment to really, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna admit that you a snitch, or are you gonna are you gonna follow through? So he ends up following through, and killing the cop.
You
But
sounded
I don't know
desperate.
how
You
long
sounded desperate.
that will last for him in
You
this season. So that is how the episode ended. I want to stop there. So what was your favorite part, or what stood out to you during this episode?
I mean, to be honest, I was shocked at the end. Like my mouth dropped when he killed the cop, because it was just like, dang, Vic, like now you really like you're signed to death row. Like now you kind of got to go with whatever they have going on, because you can't go back to whatever you were gonna do with the police. Like that's over, that's done. So now you have to full force throw yourself into this and be on Tommy's side. Like, and you made that split second decision. Like I didn't know what was gonna happen. I kind of thought Tommy would have not confronted them. I thought maybe he might sit on it, but when he
Yeah.
did, I was just like, oh wow, oh wow. And that was probably, I was like, at the end.
Yeah, I did too. I really did think, Tommy was just gonna take a couple notes, see what was going on for real, and then like address him later, or do some other kind of
Yeah, yeah.
method as to getting him back. But then again, it's like, Tommy's also impulsive. Like he also kind of thinks in split seconds too, and at that time, I don't know if he even knew like really what he was gonna like walk up on or like really see. And so everybody was just kind of caught off guard in that moment. But I did not think Vic was gonna do it. I thought he was gonna, I don't know, cave in that moment, and then, let I don't know, the feds kind of like arrest Tommy or do whatever that they were gonna do. But I didn't think he was gonna follow through because, like you said, like now this puts him in a position to, not get his quote unquote freedom that he was expected to get, like if he followed through with what the feds were asking him. So right now, truly his only option is to now
It's,
work with Tommy and actually be still infiltrated in in a life and an environment that he, so
don't
desperately
even
has been trying to like move away from and not be a part of. So that definitely I was surprised too, because I was like, wow, now, like you're lessening your options at this point. And I mean, she tried to warn those cops, like, he's smarter than you think. Like, he sees you. Like, he actually made you. Why would you continue following us like this?
to want
And
and then
so,
to want to meet in person.
right. And like now, because even the lady who's like in charge of the entire investigation, like now her job is on the line, and so everybody's in a way like trying to make impulsive or has to make impulsive decisions. Like it's now or never. Like we don't have time now to kind of sit back, to wait, to kind of gather all the information because things are heating up, which is
But
funny
now
because that's what the
now
episode
she
is
don't have
called.
any information because
Wait,
now she don't have any information because he's the one. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it lagging? She
no,
don't
yeah,
have any
no, I
information
hear.
because Nick was the one with he had the listening device on when they
Yeah,
were discussing the whole coalition. So now that's all thrown out. Now that I don't even know what the police gonna do, which is good to me. I want to see Tommy win, so I wasn't too
yeah.
mad about that. Like,
Right. And I mean because I did see the previews for the next episode towards the end, and in a way it didn't allude um that their investigation was like they were not
gonna
going to be
stop
using Vic. Yeah, they were going to stop using Vic. So that just makes me think like they don't know yet exactly like what happened to him, to that
happen.
cop that they
Mhm.
had to kill. And so yeah, once that does get kind of like unaired, like then a whole can of worms for. So Vic in a way has to think now, like what are you going to do? Because
What are you gonna do?
right, yeah, what's
Every
that?
time you kill a police officer, I'm not gonna do. How do y'all keep explaining these dead cops?
Yeah. Exactly. But in power, they're gonna find a way to explain that. Period. But oh, what did you think about
Explain. Yes, they are. They are. But yes, every time they kill a cop, I'm like, the plot thickens. The plot thickens.
right? What do you think about Shanty?
Shanty is smart, and I love that about like the women in like Force. They do try to make them. I mean, the characters are always looking to the women are kind of like want to run their own business. Like when she was talking to her boyfriend, she's like, this is ours, this will be separate. Like it's and it's a money maker. Like they're going after a different kind of money, like white money, rich people money, like in the club doing pills. So to me, I thought it was smart for her to still try to have her own thing on the side, in my opinion.
I could agree with that. And Claudia definitely alluded to that in the episode too. Like, it's nice to be able to like work side by side, like with another woman, because, we're constantly in environments where, it's very male dominated. Like, we're always in positions where we have to kind of answer to a man. So it's like nice to see, them being able to kind of make their own decisions and kind of run their business the way that they see fit. But would you say there is some sort of distraction with Jannard, or even just a distraction with, wanting to gain so much power and control that could, be altering like her plans, or even, you know, possibly being a crutch to her getting like her end result or the things that she wants? Like, do you see in some sort of aspect that she is being distracted to a degree?
I mean, absolutely. Like they always, to me, like take on more than they can chew a little bit. They're always so ambitious and aren't really like they're always after the money. They're chasing the money, and that is always the end goal. And so that clouds your judgment a lot. So yes, like I'm sure this will cause a bit of a rift or a shakeup. So it'll be interesting to see like how they get out of that. But I love the girl power team up, like especially in this male dominated show. So yes.
Right. Especially too when she checked Raheem in the beginning, because I did not see that coming either. I thought that they were going to just talk, or I thought she just wanted to kind of get a little bit more information first before she reacted. But it was quick. You didn't see it coming, but I definitely think she, like as the episodes go on, continue to kind of assert like her dominance and assert her presence, and it will be nice to see how that evolves, or in a way like how far she could take it before someone tries to kind of step in and
Challenge
in a way put her back in her place. Because in a way, like throughout this whole entire like Power series, just even in this particular show, like someone's always going to be coming for your spot, or someone's always going to want the things that you have because of like what it comes with. And so it is nice to see her evolving and growing and getting more power, but it also like makes me fear, because it's like, like the more power essentially you have, like the more of a target you
the
become.
biggest target.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
exactly, like the more someone is going to be, coming for the things that you have. So yeah, that will be interesting to see. But those were definitely some really powerful scenes. So even to kind of transition into some of the themes and the symbolism within this episode, something that stood out to me for sure was like the theme of the element of surprise. Like you're not going to see it coming, but you kind of just have to react. So kind of speaking to like when Vic didn't see Tommy coming, when Raheem didn't see Shanti coming in the beginning, and even like the Serbs, they didn't see it coming, where all of a sudden now their supply is cut off. So what do you think about the element of surprise in this episode, and like how do you think it kind of plays into the broader kind of context of this show?
Um, I mean, I like the surprises. I think it keeps the show like interesting. I think it's like a note or ode to like the writers and how they keep like the viewers on their like on their toes. And it's just not a predictable thing. Like I mean, like I was saying with Vic, killing the cop. Like I was shocked that that happened. Like you said with Shanti, and I think it's a good thing and a like a plot mover. Like it keeps the plot going. So I mean, I like it because I don't like things to be predictable. And I think that the writers do a good job and for us with that.
Right. And even like for the element of surprise, like just within the show as well, because Shanti, even just dropped on Jannard, like, hey, I have this side business going on. Or again, like, even with the Serbs not knowing that their supply was going to be cut off, like, where do you see like those like kinds of things going? Like, is it smart to have some sort of element of surprise, or is that going to kind of create more like problems or issues like going forward, or a mixture of both?
I mean, from the perspective of like drug dealing in the show, I think it's smart. Like that, the grandmother was telling what's
Mhm.
I think his name.
Miguel.
She was saying like yeah, Miguel, you got to be two steps ahead. Like you cannot let
Mhm.
nobody know like what your next move is. So I think in like a business, and especially in that type of business aspect, it's smart. But also it's a depending on who you're surprising. Like if you're surprising your enemy, that's smart. But if you're surprising your partner, that's dumb. Like that's
Mm.
not smart.
Interesting. So even with that aspect, like, was it smart for Shanti and to team up with Claudia without letting Jannard know, because of their affiliation, and them trying to, kind of get back into CBI and kind of get back into good graces? Or do you see it as, because
It
Jannard
can
is,
go either way.
yeah, because Jannard is also always tied to power, getting more and greed in itself. But do you think then hiding it from CBI is going to cause, who are, quote unquote, their partners in the grander scheme, even though they have, separate plans to take over? Like, do you think that this is a smart play for Shanti and Claudia, or do you think it created more than what they could have gotten, just kind of sticking to CBI?
I think it was smart on Shanti, like her, like if she want to drop maybe Jannar one day. I don't know. Like for her, I don't think it's a bad business move. But for them reflecting on CDI, it's not smart because like you're being sneaky. But it's
Mhm.
not, to me. It's not a bad business. It's a profitable business, so I respect the business move.
Right. I definitely could see that too. And, just for the fact that they all are, business savvy and are always, about their profits or about, they're getting the results that they need. And so anything to kind of put you a step ahead or anything that can kind of put you a little bit forward is in a way very, it produces good results for them in the end. But you also brought up a good point, like it's not smart if it's like your business partner, but it is if it's your enemy. And so, what do you think like that element of surprise on the Serbs will do for later on? Because I did see also in the previews for the next episode that Claudia, Shanti, and then maybe teaming up with the Serbs to kind of gather some an alliance to be able to actually take on CBI and different things like that. So, where do you see that kind of shaking out, or that not having necessarily any discussion between the Serbs and the cartel in terms of their supply, like having it just be a complete surprise that their supply was going to get cut off that day? Like, now, where do you see how that plays out? And is it smart still in that regard?
I think that the Serbs are going to get their revenge. Like they're not going to take that laying down. Like I absolutely think that it wasn't smart in the sense that like they know that people are going to retaliate. Nobody's going to like that. Nobody's just going to take that. So they got to be prepared for some type of revenge. I do think it would be messy for the Serbs and Claudia and Shanti to all come together. Like that's two big power dynamics going against each other. But I guess that is, maybe that's what it's building up to or leading up to, which I think will be interesting to see. Um, yeah, but like absolutely like do think that the Serbs are going to do something. They are not taking that.
Right, right, right. I definitely agree too. And it's almost in a way like a ripple effect. Like one surprise element kind of leads into another surprise element, because who would have thought after
They would have
everything
got
has
cut.
played out that potentially Shanti, Claudia, and the Serbs would all be teaming up. But again, it's the ramifications of their supply being cut off. So it's like one surprise element
One
just creates another
leads
opportunity for another surprise element. So it's like just a continuing like ripple effect. And like you're saying, like you just now at this point just have to be prepared. Just always just prepared for anything. Kind of even speaking to like the earliest scene, like in this episode with Tommy and Maria, how they're messing around and Miguel comes knocking on the door so that they can discuss plans. Like Tommy wasn't expecting him to just pull up, unannounced without some sort of, notice. And what did he have to do? He just had to be in that moment and had to adjust, had to try to hide her things, get her to move out the way so, he didn't suspect that something was going
yeah.
on. And so it just speaks to that aspect as well. Like there's always going to be elements of surprise. They're going to always kind of create more elements of surprise. And the only thing I can really do to be prepared is to just expect anything
Be
to
on guard.
happen.
Yeah. Literally be ready for any and everything.
Right, right,
That is the thing.
right. For sure. Because even now, yeah, transitioning into just diving a little bit deeper into the characters, because we touched on this a bit, like when we were going over the recap and our favorite moments about Vic having to now choose a side, because he ended up killing the cop at the end. So, how would you describe now the characters in the context of loyalty? So we already kind of did a little bit of that with Vic, and now he has to choose where his loyalty lies, and now, kind of forcing the situation to have to put his loyalty on Tommy, possibly. Like, where do you see like the rest of the characters kind of going? Like, for instance, Shanti, like, where do you see loyalty kind of playing a part as to what her next move would be?
I mean, Shanti, I think she's going. I think she's going to go the route with Claudia and the Serbs. To be honest, like I do think that that'll cause a rift between her and her Janard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that'll cause like a rift. But I do see her loyalty being to that because she already went and did it, so I don't see why she wouldn't continue on to that. I think a lot of them, the characters, make loyalty in more of like a selfish way. They're always going to protect themselves first. So whatever is going to um, make them money, or and especially in the moment, given the circumstances, somebody has to die, they have to die. They are always going to move in a more selfish way. So, like Nick, for example, he had to think about himself in that moment, and like what he's going to do to live. Because I mean, who knows what Tommy would have done if he would have just been like, "I'm a snitch." So, they all loyalty is to whatever's being presented at the moment, and they are going to be loyal to like their life or like what the money is, where the money's going.
Gotcha. That's a really good point in terms of like looking at loyalty in that aspect, because we see it kind of playing out in both ways, like either being loyal to another person or being loyal to yourself first. And I have to think of self preservation, and I have to, like you said, assess the situation and see, where do I fit in this, and like how can I, make sure I'm covered, and then, can think about, other
The rest later.
aspects kind of later on. And so I definitely think yes, for sure. Vic had to do that in that moment, and like you said, like I could definitely see it in Shanti right now. I just wonder though, how strong is her loyalty to Jannard in this aspect? Like, is he truly someone that is like expendable to her, or is, he kind of the catalyst that can make her kind of change the trajectory of like where she wants to take this, or how she's been kind of moving in this show. And so I wonder, like, truly, like, where, how far her loyalty will go to this mission, because on the opposite end, like, you can see that Tommy is always going to be, about the mission, and sometimes, or not even sometimes, but all the time, that people end up being expendable in that moment. And so if Vic had to go, if that cop had to go, they both, would have went in that aspect, because Tommy is like more loyal to the mission and what has to kind of be in the best benefit of that. But at the same time, like, Shanti is moving in that direction, but I still feel as though her like connection and her loyalty to Jannard is still a bigger factor than someone than
In
or
the business.
yeah, exactly. So I think that there's still a little bit like
Oh,
even though like her
take that for a
friend in the
girl.
in the
Take that for a
beginning
girl.
tried to warn her and tried to say, like, you know I know you taking this as though this is disrespect, but someone is trying to help you possibly see a perspective that you're not seeing, because you are distracted so much by your loyalty to this person, like to Jannard, that you're not seeing like full picture truly of how he is, such a bad influence. Like, he was about to go and kill Tommy. It's like, what? Why would that be smart for you, Jannard? Like, why
Not
would
at
you do
all for
that?
anybody.
Like,
For
right.
anybody.
And once again, it's because he is, he's not in the best state of mind. Like, he's in withdrawal. Like, he's, trying to get himself clean. Like, he's not thinking straight. And it's like, as smart as Shanti's being, and as smart, in terms of like her strategy and like what we're noticing, like as the episodes go on, it's still, her loyalty to someone that she can possibly also see very clearly as well as a distraction, or someone that is going to be a crutch, or someone that's going to come in the way of the business. Still, I think that's now her like internal fight of like what truly is going to be her motivating factor. Is she going to stay loyal to her people? Is she going to stay loyal to the people that
Man,
she cares about, right? Or is she going to switch and focus now more on the business? Because we definitely see where Claudia's head is at. Claudia kind of mirrors more Tommy in this aspect, where she is strictly about the business. She has actually no loyalty, right, to practically anyone. And then, just the way that the season has gone and the things that she had to endure, like, it makes sense for her to first and foremost keep her loyalty to herself. Like, I have to look out for me.
nobody else showed her loyalty.
Right. I've seen when I did put my loyalty into others, or when I did trust others, like, I always got the short end of the stick. Or, like, I always had to kind of fight my way out of those situations. Or I mean, there were sometimes like where her greed or like her loyalty to the mission kind of overpowered her loyalty to someone else, and then created another ripple effect of, surprise elements that, shouldn't necessarily have to be in there. But that, in a way, just speaks to, again, like, where is your focus going to be? Truly, where are you going to be loyal to? Like, we see that, yeah, that Tommy again is making his decision, or Claudia has already. Well, we'll also see with Tommy too, like how far his loyalty will go for Maria, and if that, right, because right now he doesn't think that anybody knows that they're together, but now those big
Jannard and
started to come out. Jannard probably, already said to
Jannard itching to
no.
get that out.
He was like,
Jannard can't wait to
he was like, this is Christmas right now. I got something on
right.
that could take him out. And it is like, that's how powerful that knowing that little bit of information is. And so now we will see, uh, I guess, like, if Tommy is going to be classic Tommy and stay, loyal to the mission, or if Maria and his connection to her is really going to be strong enough to I don't know, make
No,
him act out of character, right?
Tommy's always
We'll
about the
see.
business. The only person he loved more than business is Ghost.
That's true. Rest in peace, Ghost.
I
Right, he's got to
mean,
kill his own
foresee,
son. I know, for Ghost.
I foresee that. I foresee that. Like you said, one thing Tommy's about is his business. So
Mm,
anybody's expendable at that point.
mhm. Right, and
Her brother, everybody.
right. Woo, it's like Tommy, but is uh I don't know. I just wonder, because he's also, though, just a secret lover boy. Like, Tommy really does go hard for the people that he loves, and now he is professing some sort of love to her. So, right, we'll see, in a way, how far it goes. Like, same
Right.
with Shanti, like, because they both, in a way, are in like a love quarrel, where we now have to see, in a way, how much they love them, or how loyal their love is to them. And right,
To
and
the
now we'll
person.
put, yeah, we'll continue to see Claudia kind of evolve, like being, and now having to focus more on self, than having to rely on others. And even like, well, what do you think about Diamond? Like, because now with the little boy that he's like mentoring in boxing, I know we even talked about this previously, like, where you didn't think that possibly could be a catalyst, or a strong enough motivation for him to, start thinking about other options besides the current things that he's doing. And so, do you think uh, that his loyalty will be tested in that regard, or do you also think possibly, like, kind of like with Tommy, that he's still more focused on the business, and this is not a big enough kind of like distraction to make his loyalty shift some way or another. Because he is also now
I think he's
messing with the little boy's
the
mom, and
mom.
so that's also another layer that he's
I
adding
think
onto it.
I think at the end of the day, they're about business. Like they do love, or
Mhm.
not love, but like they like. I know he like likes what he's doing for the for his men and all that, but these guys like this is their lifestyle is like this drug dealing and stuff like that. They typically don't change, so I don't see like that loyalty overpowering his loyalty to like the business moves that he's making with Tommy. Like I see that prevail over everything at the end, all be all every time.
Hmm. And I think it's interesting too, because in that aspect, like the business is so heavily tied literally to their livelihood. Like, if I don't pay attention to this, like now this is going to cost me, my, or in a way, it costs more for me not to focus on this, for me to now shift my gears to, so in a way, like there's just more at stake. There's more that has to be considered, and so that, like you said, like now we'll just see truly how much consideration they're really going to put into those other distractions that um are in place for them, not having their all of their attention on the business, or expansion, or having getting those goals kind of in place. And so, kind of like the grandma said, like, like as soon as you start trusting, like as soon as you really do start taking your eye off the ball, you start, putting your focus in so many different areas, like that is
Then you're
always
not looking at
right, that
the
someone can come
downfall.
in because you're vulnerable. You're not totally there. And so they can always like use and manipulate those aspects to take your spot. And so it always, ties, back into, once again, their livelihood, like the future. They, in a way, they don't have options like as much as you would if you weren't like in these circumstances. And the more they realize that, the more focused they are on their business. But the times when they're not, that's, when things go astray, and that's when people can come in, and
And
do these
infiltrate and mess
surprise
it
elements,
up.
right, right, and could catch you off guard. And now, once again, all you know how to do, or all you can do, is just react, or just to
Yeah,
be prepared. But there are gonna be some times when you're not going to be as prepared as you need to be, because you didn't expect it coming. And then what, like that's now you're in, like that's, where it stops for you. And so, yeah, we will definitely see how that plays out. Well, what is your future prediction, or what do you think is going to happen in the next episode, or even in this season?
I mean, I think it will be. I don't want to say click versus click. That's so bad, but I think it's going to be Shanti the Serbs and Claudia versus that coalition that they're making. I think
Mhm.
that is all going to come to a head. Um, I think. I mean, Vic obviously has to submerge himself into this lifestyle now. He don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
I do think Miguel will find out about Tommy and his Maria.
Hmm.
Now, what's gonna happen with that? I don't really know. I can't really even predict how that's gonna go. But I'm to be honest, I'm sure a couple bodies gonna drop behind Maria and Tommy. Like I'm sure
Absolutely.
once that is
Absolutely.
revealed. But yes, I see like the climax gonna be that this is like two drug like coalitions against each other. I do like the drug coalition thing. I think it's smart. But will it succeed? I don't know. But I that is true smart businessmen stuff. Like let's come together and get this money. We can all get money. So.
Right, right. And I'm glad it was like presented in that way, where they truly all are actually benefiting, and not necessarily getting exploited. So like you said, like that is definitely smart. I mean, Tommy is still, um, using this for as an anchor for him to eventually, be able to gain that much control. But there, there is actual benefit to them, getting together than not. So Oh wow, but it makes me think though, like when Miguel does find out about Maria, like who would be on Tommy's side? You know, like who would stay loyal to Tommy and or who would not? Because who then wants to go against the cartel? You know, like who then wants to go against them because
Against their supplier.
they're a powerful entity themselves. So woo, I now that makes me think like what is going to happen to Tom? Or you're like, how is that then going to play out? Because it's like right now he's strong because he has numbers, you know, like he has the backing. But when that starts to crack because he's now an enemy of
There's
someone who was actually
there's
a part of it. Now, you know, a whole, once again, another surprise element that's going to have a lot of ripple effects because he didn't want to tell him, you know, for a reason, hey, I'm messing with your sister, because he knew that would be an automatic death sentence. And so, how Tommy will be able to get himself out of that, I
maneuver
actually
out of
really
this.
do not know. I don't know how he's going to be able to go against Miguel and Nana. He's gonna have to go straight to Miguel's like boss or some sort to like get a deal with him. But you know,
Before, yeah.
who's to say that boss would, you know, want to work with Tom? So
Want to work with him. Yeah, they're gonna be like, who is this white boy?
right. Which is a common theme throughout the show. Like,
Thing.
what?
They always
Who
talking
is
about the white
this
boy.
man? He is a pirate. How they described to the last episode, and you know, he's just literally coming in and causing havoc. And now he's about to sit at the top of the food chain, and in a way, we all kind of just let it happen. Uh, but I wonder, you know, who is really going to be like that dominating force that can really actually like go against him and prosper. Because of course we've seen a lot of people go against him, but none of them have really
Nobody
prospered. But so
prevail.
how will this play out? I don't know, but I'm a little scared for Tommy now. Like, you know, he's done
Yeah,
so
what can
much
we
to
get
kind of gain this support, and now because of one dumb move, or you know, like just one careless move, him not
one
thinking how to
girl.
use this right now. Now that's all up in smoke, or you know, like now that's all
Right.
going
Everything's on the line behind a
straight.
girl.
So who? I don't know, but I'm excited to see the last couple episodes and how that plays out. But yes, that is a wrap for this week's recap. Thank you again, Ray, for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you and to hear your thoughts. So thank you, yes, again for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and join the conversation to stay updated with all things Hot Nerd Network. And remember to stay tuned for next week's recap, Power Book 4 Force. We can't wait to see you there. But as always, stay nerdy.
Bye.